Hey, this is Matt Sorum from Velvet Revolver, The Cult, and Guns N' Roses. And you're listening to Your Morning Coffee with host Jay Gilbert and Mike Etchart.
From The Guardian, the concert ticket industry is broken, Justice Department says as Ticketmaster trial begins.
From the team at Marination, the 6 biggest music industry trends of 2026.
And from Simon Napier Bell, No More Foreplay, how streaming has changed song structure. Yes, it sure has. So all of this and Music Business Worldwide provide some key takeaways from both Universal and Warner Music's recent earnings call. It's episode 292. Let's start the show right now.
Stand by for transmission.
This is London calling.
Wake up! The revolution is at hand! Your morning coffee is on the air. On the air, on the air, on the air, on the air, on the air.
Standing by.
Your morning coffee, the weekly music news for the new music business. It's the highly curated, agitated, advocated, moderated, and liberated digital music information that you need to know. We are your digital music authority. And now from our studios in Hollywood, California, here's your hosts, Jay Gilbert and Mike Etchart.
Good to see you, Jay.
Good to see you, Mike. How are you, man?
I am well, and we already talked about this, but I'm going to just mention it on the air. There's a great documentary coming on Billy Preston called That's the Way God Planned It. Got a chance to see a screening of it. When it's ready, we will let everybody know, but man, it was fantastic.
I can't wait to see it. I mean, he just lights up a room and really saved the Beatles in Let It Be, and I think they would admit that.
For sure. Very tragic case, though, as his passing 20 years ago, actually. He's been gone 20 years. Crazy.
Yeah. We have a very special Your Morning Coffee podcast episode, a conversation with Drew Thurlow. I sit down with him. He's a musician, executive, educator, and now an author. And his book is called Machine Music, How AI is Transforming Music's Next Act. I highly recommend it. I rarely read a book twice, but I will be reading this one multiple times. There's just so much in there. It's a fantastic resource for anyone who really wants to understand this new music business. So check out that bonus episode with Drew Thurlow.
And I'm about halfway through the book, and indeed, it is a really, really good book. The following story ran in the newsletter this week and got a lot of feedback, including a note from the MLC. That's, of course, the Mechanical Licensing Collective. So this is an article by Pete Madigan. The MLC held $424 million in 2021. Earned, unclaimed, waiting. Most artists didn't know the account existed. And it starts by saying Apple paid it, Spotify paid it, Amazon paid it. Nobody could find who it belonged to.
But let's not let facts get in the way of a good story. Here's the response we got from the MLC. And it starts out with, as part of the Music Modernization Act, digital services were given an opportunity to transfer to the MLC all their historical unmatched royalties that had not been distributed to rights holders because the DSPs were unable to match those royalties to the correct songwriters or publishers under the prior system.
Right. They said the initial value of the royalties transferred to the MLC was roughly $427 million. But following the finalization of the Phonorecords 3 rates, that amount dropped to roughly $397 million.
All right. So today, more than half, that's nearly 60% or over $229 million of those royalties have already been distributed to songwriters and publishers who earned them. The MLC continues efforts to match and distribute these royalties.
You can view the MLC's progress on matching and distributing these historical royalties over at themlc.com. Check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a 3-day conference coming up. It's called Music Pro 26. It's a conference and a workshop for indie and emerging artists. And this is at the Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California. That's March 27th through the 29th. And I had a chance to talk to Erwin Kornfeld from Music Pro 26. Let's listen in. Erwin, good to see you.
Good to be seen.
Tell us about the Music Pro 26 conference. What can attendees expect to see?
Well, we're a 3-day workshop for independent and emerging artists. It's a networking event at Musicians Institute in Hollywood, March 27th through 29th. And the idea is to help artists and other professionals in the business with career development. There have been dramatic changes in the business, and not everybody is up on the latest techniques and opportunities, which have created some challenges. So by getting together with the industry, by getting together with one another, I think people can get the information they need. This is an interactive experience. We've got songwriting workshops. We've got a speed dating for songwriters from BMI, and then some inspiration. We've got Dory Lobel, who for 13 years was the musical director for The Voice. We've got Peter Cohn, who's the senior casting producer on American Idol. We've got the CEO of the RIAA, Mitch Glazier, who wants to talk about AI. And we've got a number of AI sessions that I think are unique and particularly interesting. So people who come should have a good time and leave with some really exciting tools.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Where can our listeners learn more, and where can they sign up?
It's very easy. It's musicpro26.com. All the sessions are there. The speakers are there. And you can get your tickets.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Erwin. We'll see you there.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
So this is going to be a really interesting weekend. I have a panel with a couple of really smart friends of mine, Ryan Vaughn and Benji Stein. And our panel is called Evolving Music Marketing Tools and Tactics to Reach, Engage, and Grow Your Audience.
That should be a really good event to do and check out. Interesting piece from Simon Napier Bell. No More Foreplay, how streaming has changed song structure. So he starts by saying, once upon a time, songs were written for radio. DJs were the priests, the airwaves the altar, and every record had to earn its 3 minutes of worship. You built up the intro, teased the hook, the congregation sang the chorus, and you waited for the blessing, that being a chart position.
He's a good writer. I thought that was really well put. He goes on to say that now the altar's gone digital. The new God is the skip button, the 30-second rule of Spotify. If a listener jumps ship before that, it doesn't count as a stream. And that small rule has reshaped the DNA of popular music. Record producers have become survivalists. No foreplay, no mystery, no indulgent guitar solos. Hit them with a hook, then hit them again.
Simon goes on to say, pop songs used to build from verse to bridge to chorus. A power ballad like I Will Always Love You took its time. He says now producers are terrified of space. The listener might wander off, or worse, start listening to another playlist. So instead of a build-up, you get the chorus up front, or a snippet of one. No long intro, no suspense. The first 15 seconds decide your fate. He says, as one producer puts it, you're at the party the moment the door opens.
Well put. He goes on to write that songs are shrinking. The global average length of a hit has fallen to around 2 minutes and 40 seconds. The reason isn't a mystery, it's maths, he says. Instead of a 4-minute song, you make 2 minutes with an ending that matches the intro. The listener presses replay and loops into something almost continuous. That makes it 2 plays instead of 1. Double the algorithmic favor, double the cash.
He says, in the old days, A&R men listened with their gut. Now their guts have been replaced by dashboards and skip rate graphs. He says, as producer Mark Ronson puts it, streaming has turned pop into a science project. Well, a great piece by Simon Napier Bell. I looked it up. He is 86 years old. That guy has been in the business since the early 60s. He's been a record producer, a songwriter, a manager. He's good to see him with the hand still in the game.
Yeah, I thought that was very poignant. Very well put, Simon. Thank you.
All right. Well, Jay, I'm going to say we jump over and thank our sponsors before we get rolling on the big stories because we are so fortunate to have them. Support for the show comes from Hypebot. Since 2004, Hypebot has chronicled the new music industry and the trends and technologies that are changing how music is discovered, consumed, marketed, and monetized. Founded by Bruce Houghton, Hypebot is edited by touring artist and publisher Jeremy Young and supported by live music discovery and marketing platform Bands in Town.
That's right. Support from the show comes from Bands in Town. Now over 100 million live music fans trust Bands in Town to get personalized concert alerts, recommendations, and messages from their favorite artists. It's the #1 artist services platform. It connects over 700,000 artists with their super fans, so managers, labels, agencies, and artists access their own dashboards to manage and promote their tour dates across all platforms.
Yes, indeed. And my favorite part of the day and week is when I get to hang out with my good friend Jay Gilbert, music business consultant, educator, curator of the weekly Your Morning Coffee newsletter, and a former executive with Universal Music, Sony Music, and Warner Music Groups.
That's right. And every weekend, I can't wait to get on with Mike Etchart. We typically talk for at least an hour beforehand about music and food and everything else. If you don't know by now, Mike is a longtime host of Sound and Vision Radio, formerly of SST Records, Warner Music, Capitol EMI, and Universal Music Groups.
A sketchy employment history to be sure, but I say, Jay, we jump into the stories.
Let's do it. The first one is from The Guardian, and the headline was, "The concert ticket industry is broken," Justice Department says, as Ticketmaster trial begins. So a jury is going to decide whether the music colossus, which owns venues, represents artists, and operates Ticketmaster, that's Live Nation, is a monopoly, as the Justice Department contends.
Right. Ticketmaster keeps an average of $7.58 of the price of each ticket for events at major concert venues. An attorney for New York State told jurors at a trial on Tuesday in which dozens of states are seeking to recoup damages for fans.
Yeah, it goes on to say that Ticketmaster and its parent company, Live Nation, are accused of abusing their market power to prop up illegal monopolies in the concert industry. The trial in Manhattan could result in the U.S. Department of Justice arguing for a breakup of Live Nation and Ticketmaster, or the companies paying compensation to ticket purchasers.
Well, the DOJ and the Attorneys General of New York and 38 other states, plus Washington, D.C., claim the entertainment conglomerate dominates live event markets in a way that hurts artists, venues, and fans. So DOJ attorney David Dahlquist told jurors in his opening statement, "Today, the concert ticket industry is broken. In fact, the concert industry itself is broken." He went on to say it is controlled by a monopolist. It is controlled by Live Nation.
Well, Ticketmaster keeps more in fees than competitors like AXS, according to experts estimated, and that's cited by Jonathan Hatch, an attorney for New York State. Fans in the state seeking damages are estimated to have overpaid between $1.56 and $1.72 for tickets, according to Hatch. He says that we are talking about real money coming out of people's wallets.
Well, Live Nation attorney David Marriott told jurors that Ticketmaster takes about 5% of what fans pay for tickets. The company is not a monopolist and faces fierce competition across the industry, he said. He also said every customer we get is a hard-fought battle in a competitive marketplace.
Well, Kid Rock and Ben Lovett, Ben Lovett's from the band Mumford & Sons, they're expected to testify at this trial, and as are executives from rival ticketing companies and venues, including Madison Square Garden. The DOJ alleges in the case filed in 2024 that Live Nation holds illegal monopolies in certain venue and ticketing markets. Live Nation is accused of requiring artists to use its concert promotion services if they perform at the outdoor amphitheaters that it owns.
Well, the DOJ also alleges the company's Ticketmaster arm dominated ticketing services through threats and multi-year exclusive contracts with major concert venues. Aron Subramanian, a U.S. district judge, recently cut several claims from the case but rejected Live Nation's request to pause the trial to allow it to appeal. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission has filed a separate case against Ticketmaster, accusing the company of allowing exploitive tickets resellers to flout its rules and gouge fans.
Yeah, we'll keep everybody posted on this trial. This is big news. Our second story this week is from Marination, and the headline is the 6 biggest music industry trends of 2026. They started off by saying that the music industry moves faster than ever in 2026. New technology, new platforms, new creator economies, and a completely new relationship between fans and artists that are reshaping everything.
Right. If you're an artist, producer, music founder, A&R, or even just a curious fan, these are the real trends shaping the industry right now. Not recycled headlines, not outdated predictions, not hype. Here are the 6 biggest and most important music trends in 2026 and why they matter.
Drum roll, please. Okay, here we go. First one, genre fusion. They started off by saying that genre walls are gone. Artists aren't crossing over anymore. They're building entirely new hybrids. Trap pop, hyper R&B, country EDM, Latin drill, Afro alt pop. This is the most commercially dominant sound era since early streaming. Artists like Billie Eilish, Post Malone, Bad Bunny, Doja Cat, they continue to lead the charge by blending styles that used to live in totally different lanes.
Well, number 2, AI co-creation and AI masters. So 2026 is the year AI moved from experimental tool to standard creative partner. Producers use AI to generate demo arrangements in minutes. Artists write hooks with AI melody assistance. Labels test hundreds of song variations before release. And the biggest shift, AI-trained digital twins that let artists scale output without burning out. Everyone from Travis Scott to Blackpink is already using AI to expand their creative universe.
And number 3, prediction markets and fan ownership. I think this is really interesting because I don't think this is getting enough coverage. Fans aren't just streaming anymore. They're speculating, predicting, and investing in cultural outcomes. Platforms like Kalshi, Polymarket, and now Marination are giving fans a way to participate directly in artist momentum. 2026 is the year fan-driven markets stopped being a niche concept and became a mainstream behavior. And I'll just add to this, if you haven't spent any time on Kalshi, that's Kalshi, or Polymarket, take a look. You can basically, quote unquote, bet on the outcomes of anything from politics, sports, weather, anything you can think of. And of course, music is part of that. And this has become a huge market.
Yes, certainly has. Number 4, TikTok is king, but saturated. TikTok remains the number 1 driver of viral music moments in 2026, but the game has changed, they say. Artists can't rely on dance trends or random algorithm luck anymore. So they say now it's about POV storytelling, hyper-relatable confessionals, fan-stitched narratives, build-in public content, and behind-the-scenes creation.
That's right. Songs like Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License and dozens of 2025, 2026 breakout hits, they exploded through story-based virality, not dances. TikTok is still powerful, but it rewards authenticity now, not gimmicks.
Well, number 5 is music sustainability. Going green with an increasing focus on environmental sustainability, the music industry is making conscious efforts to reduce its carbon footprint. Artists like Coldplay have taken a stand by creating carbon-neutral tours using renewable energy sources and implementing eco-friendly practices in their production processes.
Right. And the last one, number 6, global collaborations, the fastest path to a hit. I thought this was really interesting. Cross-country collaborations are exploding. They list Latin and Afro beats, K-pop and EDM, U.S. pop and Middle Eastern melodic rap. The success of records like Despacito set the blueprint, but 2026 artists are pushing it much further. In a worldwide streaming market, international collaborations aren't just creative, They're strategic.
Yep. And the conclusion, the music industry in 2026 is shaped by number 1, genre blending creativity, number 2, AI powered production, number 3, fan driven prediction markets, number 4, TikTok storytelling, number 5, sustainable touring, and number 6, global collaborations. If you understand these trends, you understand where the industry is going and how to stay ahead of it. Good piece.
Great piece. Great piece from our friends over at Marination. So next up, we want to do some highlights because this last week, Warner Music and Universal Music both had their earnings calls. And some of these things, these facts and figures can be a little bit dry, but we pulled out some highlights that we think you'll be interested in. And the first one is from a story that Tim Ingham over at Music Business Worldwide wrote. The headline was, Robert Kyncl tells Warner Music Group shareholders AI is the music's next growth engine, not its downfall. So last Tuesday, a telling analyst note from Rothschild & Co., Redburn, argued that music rights holders are particularly exposed to threats from AI-generated content. But Kyncl's letter issued on March 3rd can be read as a direct rebuttal to that kind of thinking. Quote, we see the same facts, but reach a different conclusion, end quote.
He writes, with Deezer reporting that more than 60,000 AI tracks are uploaded to its platform daily, and with 7 million tracks generated per day on Suno alone, AI music's abundance has prompted understandable concern about oversupply, dilution, and the long-term value of recorded music.
Right. Tim goes on to write that Kyncl argues that the proliferation of AI-made and AI-assisted music actually strengthens the position of established rights holders. Quote, AI does not replace human artistry. It amplifies the importance of artists as familiar, beloved cultural icons in a jarringly noisy environment.
Well, Kyncl wrote, while Hollywood consolidates and frets over its future, music is emerging as a refuge in the storm rocking the broader media landscape. Kyncl notes that just 27% of U.S. music streaming consumption in 2024 came from new releases versus 45% a decade ago, meaning music companies no longer rely as heavily on the hit-or-miss cycle that haunts the film industry.
Yeah, he also says that the world's 800 million plus music streaming subscribers spend an average of just $40 per year. The opportunity to grow this total subscriber pool and increase revenue for the entire ecosystem is enormous. I believe we are only halfway there on both, added Kyncl, in a clear vote for additional price hikes at DSPs. You can read his entire letter on the Music Business Worldwide site from Tim Ingham, and there's also a link in your morning coffee.
This next one is from Murray Stassen at Music Business Worldwide. Sir Lucian Grange talks AI strategy, downtown, D2C, superfans, and more on UMG's latest earnings call. So Grange used the AI section of his opening remarks to push back against what he calls a misreading of the technology's implications for UMG and the broader music industry.
Right. Grange said, I'm very aware that a large swath of the investment community looks at the intersection of AI and media and sees only risk. But he also said, let me be clear. We fundamentally disagree with that view. We believe AI presents unprecedented commercial opportunities for UMG and our artists in both the near and long term. We're working tirelessly to shape the business models and the legal and legislative frameworks that will form the foundation of a responsible AI ecosystem.
Yeah, on the call, Michael Nash, he's the Executive Vice President and Chief Digital Officer over at UMG, addressed fears about AI revenue dilution, presenting investor presentation data showing that the top 10 AI acts of 2025, as identified by both Billboard and Luminate, ranked between number 7,049 and number 92,141 globally, according for less than a fraction of the percent of the streams of the top artists in the U.S. last year.
Right. There may be some AI artists there, Mike, but they're not, blowing up the charts. 85% of AI streams on one representative platform, that's Deezer, were identified as fraud and then excluded from royalty allocation. Apple Music recently reported that its efforts to address the flood of AI uploads included exclusion of 2 billion fraudulent streams last year. Platforms like Spotify have also outright removed tens of millions of spamming AI tracks from their services. So despite huge volume of AI uploads, the aggregate organic consumption of AI content by actual consumers is less than 0.5% based on the best available data.
So UMG's own consumer research, a survey of 28,000 people across 13 countries, found that 69% of music streamers express disinterest in AI artists versus just 11% who express interest. That 76% want clear AI-generated labeling, and that 67% want the ability to filter out AI-generated music entirely. Meanwhile, 79% of consumers said human creativity is essential to music. Well,
which means that 21% of them don't think that human creativity is essential to music. And I find that comical.
I do too. Well, Jay, we got to wrap up the show. Man, what interesting stuff we talked about, and lots of things to consider as we roll over the week. And can hardly wait for next week already. Hey, I want to thank our sponsors. Big thanks to Hypebot and Bands in Town. We certainly appreciate their participation from the very beginning, in fact. To advertise in the podcast and the newsletter, by the way, you can jump over to yourmorning.coffee for more information. The music is by the Licorice Quartet. And by the way, if you enjoyed the show, just tell one friend. Jay and I would certainly appreciate that. So on behalf of my good friend Jay Gilbert, I am Mike Etchart. Thanks for listening in. We'll be back next week on the Your Morning Coffee Podcast.
You've been listening to Your Morning Coffee, the weekly music news program for the new music business. Join Jay Gilbert and Mike Etchart next time for the digital music news you need to know.